We've made it to London and are checked into our lovely little hotel, the Mercure London Bridge, which coincidentally is really close to the London Bridge. We've been up for something like 25 or 26 hours. Gail's already started napping, but after our nap, we're going to start our exploring. Welcome to London. We couldn't nap for long, as we wanted to get to St. Paul's Cathedral for evensong. And to get to St. Paul's on the other side of the Thames meant crossing the Millennium Bridge. This pedestrian bridge, as you might guess by its name, opened in 2000. When it opened, it was soon given the nickname the Wobbly Bridge because of an unexpected swaying motion that occurred when people walked across it. They ended up closing it, and I assume some rather embarrassed engineers figured out how to correct the problem, and ever since it's been stable. But the damage was done, and the name stuck. On to St. Paul's. We soon discovered that Evensong had been canceled for today, but there was an exhibition with dancers rappelling down the face of St. Paul's Cathedral. We watched for a few minutes, but between not wanting to see one of them fall and feeling hungry, we decided to go find some dinner nearby. There's a wonderful district right next to the London Bridge on the south side of the Thames called the Borough Market that's full of shops and restaurants. We arbitrarily popped into Elliott's and had a delicious meal of oyster mushrooms with sweet corn and egg yolk and the chalk stream trout. We're up bright and early today, our first full day in London. Had a restful, relaxing night's stay at the Mercure London Bridge. And this morning we're off to see the Tower of London. Gail set us up with a wonderful guide, John, who filled our morning with great backstories and history of what we were seeing. Another advantage to having a guide was earlier access to the grounds. So, first order of business is to see the crown jewels before the whole place turns into Disney World and overrun by tourists.
Right, good morning ladies and gents.
Morning.
Welcome to His Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress of Tower of London. This is a World Heritage Site. I'm Yeoman Warder Andy Merry, I'm one of 35 Yeoman Warders, or Beefeaters as you might know us as, who have the honour and the privilege to not only work in this beautiful Royal Palace, but this is also my home, so you're very, very welcome to my home. So what you come to see is the unlocking of my home actually. So this is an ancient ceremony, it goes back about 15 years, not to be confused with the ceremony of the keys that we do each evening, which is an ancient ceremony, more than 750 years old. So what's going to happen shortly? Well, I should explain why we're locked up. We're locked up because this is a royal palace. This is still a royal palace to this day. So if you were in Buckingham Palace right now, you would be in no more of a royal palace than the one you're now standing.
Seeing the crown jewels, you realize you're looking at the rich and grand history of the British monarchy. No photography is allowed. I guess they feel you might be casing the joint. But the experience is an iconic assortment of crowns, scepters, orbs, and other precious artifacts, all rich in history. The imperial state crown, adorned with 2,800 diamonds, stands as the highest symbol of royal authority, while the sovereign scepter with the cross houses the Cullinan I diamond, the largest clear-cut diamond in the world. The jewels are priceless and serve as a testament to the enduring legacy of the crown. There's certainly a lot more to see at the Tower of London than the crown jewels, but that's just the problem. There's so much to see. We spent quite a bit of time in the White Tower, which really focuses on the armaments and defense and what life was like there 400 years ago. after which we strolled around the grounds, seeing where various folks got their heads chopped off and learning about the ravens. It's hard to see it all in the morning, but we had places to go and more to see, so we bid the tower goodbye for now. Just a few steps from the Tower of London, and you're at the Tower Bridge. It's hard to take a picture anywhere along the Thames in central London without somehow getting the Tower Bridge in the shot. It's a great climb up the Tower Bridge, or you can do what we did and take the lift. But however you get there, the views are fantastic in any direction. Even straight down, because the floor on the walkway actually has glass panels. It's kind of a weird feeling walking over it, but I hear it hardly ever breaks. There's also a nice self-guided tour off the South Tower that gets you into the mechanics and the engine room. Fascinating stuff for the engineers out there. It's been a wonderful morning at the Tower of London and the Tower Bridge, but it's time for a pint and some lunch, and then definitely a nap before we head over to Westminster Abbey. One of the most iconic symbols of British history, culture, and architecture is Westminster Abbey. Going as far back as medieval times, Westminster Abbey has been the coronation church since 1066, when William the Conqueror was crowned. So Gail and I were thrilled to see and hear an evensong service held in the choir portion of this incredible cathedral. Hearing the service, performed much like it would have been performed hundreds of years ago, really gave us the experience of not just seeing this ancient, majestic cathedral, but to feel what congregants felt attending services here and experiencing right through our souls what the cathedral was built for. It was incredibly moving. Outside Westminster, it's back to the hustle and bustle of one of the most touristy parts of London. We had just enough time to stop for a quick dinner in a pub nearby before heading off to see the Agatha Christie play Witness for the Prosecution. And what a delight it was, set in and performed in the old London County Hall. And that marks the end of a very long but wonderful day. It's day 2, and this morning we're headed into the heart of London on an exciting journey through history as we explore the incredible British Museum. Actually, by incredible, I mean incredibly crowded. It was probably our least favorite outing in London, but that was just as much our fault as anyone else's. We really didn't have a plan or were focused on anything, and without that, it's just too much to see and overwhelming. So, enough of that. One thing Gail wanted to make sure we did was to ride the classic double-decker red London bus. Check that off the list. From wherever you are in London, there is one building you can almost always see, the Shard. We heard there's a bar at the top of it, so we had some time to kill before going to the play this evening, and that sounded like a lot of fun. It was. Across the Thames from St. Paul's Cathedral is the Globe Theatre. Shakespeare called his theatre a wooden O, and like his original, built over 400 years ago, this replica theater, which opened in 1997, is a 360-degree open-air auditorium. Gail got us wonderful seats in the gallery where we enjoyed a funny and a bit quirky production of As You Like It. The folks down below in the pit stood for the entire performance in the open air. This and the performance made it outstanding. Day 4, and we find ourselves with a tour group that we'd signed on with headed south of London to explore Dover Castle, the Cliffs of Dover, and Canterbury Cathedral. Constructed by William the Conqueror in the 11th century, Dover Castle was built as a symbol of Norman power. There were a fair amount of people there, being a Sunday with outstanding weather, and there was a lot going on. With its breathtaking views of the English Channel, the castle's been a defensive stronghold during various conflicts, including the Napoleonic Wars. It's all well preserved and maintained to give us a great picture of what life was like there. It was great fun climbing around, exploring the rooms, the grounds, and the various buildings, but we still have a lot to see today, so it's time we move on. The White Cliffs of Dover, one of England's most iconic natural landmarks, are stunning to see. 8 miles long and 350 feet above the English Channel, we had a nice walk for about an hour, imagining centuries of history, from ancient invasions to World War II. We couldn't see France today, but the panoramic views were still breathtaking. The hour went by quickly, and now it's on to Canterbury. Canterbury Cathedral, certainly one of the most beautiful cathedrals I've ever seen. Sitting in the heart of the historic city, Canterbury, the cathedral is a masterpiece of medieval architecture that goes all the way back to the 6th century. We had time to stroll through, sensing perhaps some of what the pilgrims from across Europe who flocked here felt during the Middle Ages, as immortalized by Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. Back in London, for our last evening there, we treated ourselves to dinner at Seabird on top of the Hoxton Hotel. Worthy of mention here, if only for some of the most memorable oysters we've ever had, as well as the views. A bit of travel today as we head for the Cotswolds. Easy enough, though, as we took the subway to the train station and the train to Stratford-Upon-Avon, about 93 miles to the northwest of London. Once there, we had a rental car waiting, and that is an experience all its own, driving in England, not for the American faint of heart. Stratford-Upon-Avon is a beautiful little city, and of course, the birthplace of none other than William Shakespeare. You can look him up. We arrived at lunchtime, so quickly found a pub and settled in a bit before our visit to the Royal Shakespeare Company. The RSC, as it's called, is open for tours and just snooping around all day, which we did and highly recommend. Chipping Campden, an historic little town located 12 miles south of Stratford-Upon-Avon, is our home base for the next few days. We somehow arrived alive, driving mostly on the left side of the road in our rental car, to find the B&B that Gailed reserved to be everything we had hoped for. We highly recommend a stay at Woolmarket House, and in particular the Snows Hill Room. Just wonderful. It's my birthday today, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate than to be here, enjoying this beautiful part of England. There's no better way to become familiar with an area than to hike it. And as a matter of fact, right outside our front door is a plaque marking this the beginning, or the end, of the 102-mile walking trail called the Cotswold Way between here and Chipping Campden and Bath. We didn't hike that trail this morning, but we did enjoy a nice walk around the hills surrounding the town. After lunch on the Snows Hill patio, it's off to Stratford-Upon-Avon for the afternoon and evening, and our first stop is Shakespeare's birthplace. We again got a glimpse and a pretty good idea of what life was like in the late 16th century. And from what I can tell, it wasn't easy. But it was interesting to see the home Shakespeare was born in and what life was like back then for the people of Stratford-Upon-Avon. After seeing everything at Shakespeare's birthplace, we headed over to Lamb's for a wonderful pre-theater/birthday dinner. The food was delicious, and the company even better. MacBeth, one of Shakespeare's most enduring tragedies, delving into the depths of human ambition, power, and the consequences of unchecked desire. And seeing this epic at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre, this is as good as it gets. All in all, it's been a wonderful birthday.
You're pretty awesome at 63.
It's our last full day in England before heading back home tomorrow, and we heard about a cool castle in the nearby town of Warwick called, oddly enough, Warwick Castle. Like Dover Castle, it was originally established by William the Conqueror in the 11th century, and over the centuries has undergone many expansions and renovations. We spent a few hours wandering through the castle, exploring the rooms, being entertained by some excellent tour guides and the crew members who worked there, and climbing the towers.
Run over by a mighty steed if you're not careful, honestly.
You see those people on the bridge? I could get them without going here.
After touring the castle, we needed a place to eat and found what must be the most British tea room in Britain. Just sitting in this tea room, enjoying our lunch, made me feel more British and less American. And I gotta say, it wasn't a bad thing. The week sure went by fast, and as usual, I wish we could have stayed longer. It was really fun going from 4 days in London to 4 days in the Cotswolds, two very different parts of Britain. We learned a lot about British history and Shakespeare and so much more. But one thing we learned for sure is that we'll be back. Behind us is the iconic Tower of London. What we're going to...
We're ad-libbing this one.
What is it?
Suffolk Cathedral.
I think you pronounce it Suffolk. Suffolk.
It says experience the tranquility. Aye, and we shall conquer this land. From the north to the south. And it will be ours. And everywhere the light shines is our kingdom.